So this next part of the Muncie M20 rebuild is probably going to be pretty easy, at least I hope it will be. This is the counter gear, and if you watched the previous video, you know I just rebuilt the entire main shaft, put all the gears on, new synchro sliders, new synchro rings, new hubs, and all the pieces to hold it together, and that went together well, so I'm good with that. This is just a matter of putting in the spacer tube and packing all the needle bearings in there using grease. So should be a pretty simple process. It's just going to be kind of monotonous going in and making sure all those needle bearings are where they need to be. And I'll throw on a pair of gloves and we'll get to it. All right, so I'm just finishing up putting in the last of the needle bearings. Probably only took me about 5 or 10 minutes to actually get these in here. It is really not that complicated. Using some really heavy red grease, so it's really tacky and it's holding them in there perfect. So that stuff's working awesome. Let's see, just got a couple more to put in here. I think that is it. Looks like I got a couple extras. Yeah, there's no more room. Another one, put the last ring on there. Press that. I'm going to put more grease on there just to hold it in. This is special assembly grease, so this will break down in the oil. Let's get that in there. All right, so that's pretty much it. I got all the needle bearings in. Spacer tube is in. Off the extra grease just to kind of clean it up a little bit. And let's put some on this side because that one came out. All right, that is it for those. Last thing to do, zoom out a little bit. Is to take the counter shaft. So this is the new counter shaft that's going to go through the counter gear. And I'm going to shove this through just to seat all of those bearings. Get it in. There we go. Slide that in. And so the reason I am putting the counter shaft in is to just seat all those bearings, all the needle bearings in place. Get them where they need to be. And I'm going to pull the counter shaft out. And now all the bearings should be nice and tight in there. Which they are. So if you can see in there, So if I pull the ring out, you can actually see how tight the bearings are. So if I take the ring out, you can see that the needle bearings are all packed in there. There's no room for extras. Can't get any more in there, so I do have a couple extra. It looks like about, what was that, 1, 2, about 5 extras came in the bag. And yeah, so that's it. That's pretty simple for packing the needle bearings in the counter gear. All right, so that wasn't too bad. That took me about 25 minutes to get all the needle bearings in there with the spacer tube and everything. Super simple project. And the needle bearings came in the rebuild kit, so everything I needed was in there. Had to pick up this, so this red assembly grease was super good. I'll put a link down under the video to all the parts that I'm using in this, but this held them in there really well. And yeah, that's it. And of course, using Venom steel gloves. I've been using these for years. These are super awesome. I like to reuse them. I can actually wash them because they just don't break unless you actually catch them on something and cut them. So if you haven't used those are super good. I'll put a link to those down in the bottom under the video too. And then, yeah, next part of the project, I'll probably be moving on to installing the main gear or the main shaft back in the housing. And we'll start putting all the pieces together. So that'll be video number 5 of reassembling the Muncie M20. And we'll go from there. We only got a couple more pieces and we're starting to speed up, and let's get this thing back together. And hopefully you're finding these informative. Like I said before, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm kind of making this up as I go along, pulling stuff off the internet and using books and resources as I go. So there's probably a lot of you out there that have cars and are maybe thinking, should I pull my Muncie out and take a crack at it? Yeah, why not? What's the worst that can happen? It breaks and you got to buy another one. Now you got 2 Muncies. So that's the situation I'm in. I have a Muncie in my car. This is going to be my second Muncie. I'll pull the other one out and eventually do the same thing with that one, because that is an M21 and it doesn't have the right ratio for my rear. So this one is going to be much better. It's an M20. It's going to have a much better gear ratio with the 355s in the back of the car. And I'm really looking forward to getting it in there, but I've got to get all these pieces back in the main case and put back together. So that's it for this video. I'm going to wrap it up. If you have any questions or comments, put them down under the video, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching.